Before our good friend Dave Nemo introduces our next guest, Marshall Platter just wrote me to say that the ELD doesn't know you ate a big meal, doesn't know you're getting sleepy. ELD doesn't know the traffic is heavy. ELD doesn't know roads are slick. All of that is correct, although I have a feeling they're going to be grabbing data from other sources and playing the comparison game. Don't be surprised if at some point people start talking about trucking the way they were talking baseball last night. Some of the stats they were getting into last night, Dave, were unbelievable, where they were taking stat lines from one group of people, comparing them to another, and getting an overall picture. Almost able for John Smoltz to predict every single pitch over the course of the game. It was based on
Wow.
somebody's psychology and their profile.
Wow.
And the one time that he didn't throw a pitch anybody was expecting, the guy struck out the side. So it's about knowing your own patterns and mixing stuff up. Would you care to do the honors on the next guest?
Yes, Chris Jolly is about to join us. The Freight Coach, his own self, Chris Jolly. And of course, the Freight Coach podcast. And you can go to The Freight Coach, all one word, of course, thefreightcoach.com to catch up with Chris and the gang there. Chris, good morning and welcome.
Hey, thank you guys so much for having me back on. I appreciate the opportunity.
Oh, it's great to have you back. You know, I was watching one of your recent podcasts with Sean from Truck Stop, formerly Denim, and
Yeah.
talking about designing a fraud resilient carrier network. And boy, I got it. I did kind of laugh because the best way to prevent fraud is to work with people you actually know.
Yeah.
Of all things, where did that idea come from? And we've been kind of talking AI this morning and the ups and downs of that. They are starting to use AI now to do your actuaries on your insurance and even life insurance now, certainly truck insurance. We're separating ourselves through all of these, these layers of electronics, I guess you might say. But when it comes down to it, and it's also, and I'm going to start talking in a second here, because one thing that Jim just brought up very quickly this morning was the fact that it's so important to get together in person in the same room at the same time with people in this industry. And all of these conventions and conferences and everything that we go to, it's so important to shake hands and see what a guy looks like when he's drinking coffee across the table from you. And that the human touch is what we're starting to veer away from. Is that too much of a simplification?
I think that people are trying to actually overcomplicate what we're doing when we're vetting carriers and trying to build relationships. And, from my seat, again, I always say this is just coming from somebody who actually does the job, because I book trucks every single day inside of my freight brokerage. And I've just found over my 15-year career, the most tried and true method to ensure you're booking the right truck on the load is to use that exact same carrier who's running that region 7 days a week, regardless of whether it's with you or not. And that is just the way to kind of bypass a lot of the garbage out there that people find themselves in. Is they're overlooking it. They're thinking they need to do things at a greater level. And from my seat, the more simple the questions, the better off you're going to be. And I say that is because a lot of the fraud that is committed out there is they're looking for that easy in, right? Like they're looking for that rep who clearly doesn't care or who's maybe overworked and they're not paying attention. And when you have standards for the freight that you're moving, and as a broker myself, there are not a lot of separators out there in any market, but especially right now between you and your competition. And the standards that we hold our carriers to, we actually attract the right carriers for our customers' freight, because they want to vet their brokers just as much as we want to vet them. And I have just found over my career that when you have all of that information dialed in and you're holding those carriers to a certain standard, and then they're able to hold you to that same standard as a broker, I think that's where that air quote perceived harmony comes in. And I feel like where a lot of this stuff is exposed is they're looking for that quick buck. They're looking for that person who maybe isn't as engaged in the conversation as possible. And then that's all they need is just that small window.
It also brings up that great line from Fight Club, where he says, "That was clever. Thank you. How's that working out for you?" What? Being clever. And I was watching some football games this weekend, and the coaches that kind of stuck to their simple philosophies and did what they did best won, and the people who got clever lost. Is this also kind of a warning that it's okay to kind of keep up with new technologies or new approaches or expedient approaches? That's okay. But at the end of the day, you want to kind of go back to your foundational core skills. And if they are working with people and working with the people who do the best job, it really is that simple. Is that what we're kind of getting at
Yeah,
here?
I 100% abide by that, right? Like I have, again, my playbook, we'll use the coaching analogy here. Like my playbook has been, ripped through for about 15 years now. And I've got to this point where I know what's effective out there in the market. I know what drivers are looking for. And I think that from my perspective, I'm going to continue to run my plays. It might not be the most flashy out there, but I know that it's the most effective. And I feel like with technology, it's great. Like in our organization, we're going to automate everything we possibly can, but the carrier and the customer experience, right? Because like as a broker myself, I view this as like we're a hospitality company at the end of the day. We got to make sure our carriers are happy and we got to make sure our customers are happy. And I have just found that a lot of people want to automate everything, but what you're doing is if your processes are bad, now you just have bad automated processes at the end of the day. So is technology really helping you at that point? So I feel like you got to, implement technology in due time, but you got to actually do the work for a while first to see what's effective and what's not. And then again, are you implementing a piece of technology that is going to be detrimental to your carriers, right? It makes it harder for them to work with you. And same thing with your customers, right? Like, are you implementing technology that's great for you as a broker, but is it making it harder for your customers to do business with you?
When it comes to technology, and technology obviously plays a part in what we're doing right now, for goodness sake, So
Yeah.
everybody technology is embedded everywhere. Even if you think it's just me and the guy, now there's some technology there. Maybe there's a cell phone,
Yeah.
Well, what I'm getting at is there's a term that I've really struggled to understand, and I really don't. But I wonder, does it play into anything that you've just described? And the term is blockchain. Blockchain was supposed to be an unbeatable source of honest brokerage, if you will. I don't mean in brokerage business, but in
Yeah.
honest dealings with people. Do you incorporate blockchain, if not technology, ideology, if that even makes any sense?
No, yeah, it makes perfect sense, right? And I feel like with blockchain and what it is intended to do is kind of like tie that digital footprint to every single transaction that's out there and have a start and a finish and have a digital footprint with it. I think that methodology is very effective when deployed the right way. But again, I think like with where we are as a society, this isn't just a trucking thing. People think that they can just apply technology to their life and it's going to instantly make it better,
Yeah.
which that's what it's intended for. Don't get me wrong, but like you need to know the fundamentals, the blocking and the tackling, if you will, of whatever you're trying to automate, and then you take it and run with it from there. And I think that people are trying to bite off way more than they can chew right away because, again, they think like it's that next thing that's going to fix their life. And I mean, don't get me wrong, AI and a lot of the tech that's out there is that next thing. But like you need to really attack it with a 101 level approach and then build up off of it from there.
We're going to run out of time here. I want people to go to thefreightcoach.com, and I want you to promise me that we're going to find a good 30 minutes for you to come on and kind of go through some of the stuff we've talked about with real hard examples of what we're talking about so that people don't turn into Guy Fieri, which, by the way, is, well, no, but I mean, it almost becomes a value lesson for exactly what you're talking about right now. You guys thought you were clever, and you had no personal relationships, and you went with the cheapest possible solution, and it ended up costing you a fortune. And that at the core is what it is. It's like, you're only going to save money by actually going with the tried and true and then figuring out ways to streamline it, not by chasing the next shiny object, correct?
No, that's it, right? And I can definitely go into, I have a lot of thoughts on that Guy Fieri situation, on again, back to the over complication that people are trying to make it out to be. I think people do not need to overlook the inside job aspect of some of these high value cargo heists and what an envelope of cash can do to somebody's life who's making $15 an hour on a loading dock.
Chris, we're going to have you back on sooner rather than later, give you a full 30 minutes to kind of unpack some of these ideas. Promise us you'll come back.
Absolutely.
thefreightcoach.com is where you should go. Chris Jolly is the guy you will encounter there. Lots of good information, lots of good podcasts, lots of good episodes. As a